Right. If you're a fan of Irish football or a fan of the League of Ireland, strap yourself in. This is going to be a real trip down memory lane and nostalgia. We are the Upper Tier Podcast, brought to you by the Dynamo Podcast Network. And tonight I have a very special guest on, a man who knows the league inside out, who has played in all four corners of this country for all the top teams. Mr. James Keddy, how are you doing, my man?
How's things, Niall? Great to hear from you.
Great to have you on. I mean, this is, as I was saying to you there during the week when we were chatting, this is like a real trip down memory lane for me. I'm trying to reconnect with so many of the lads from the past, you know what I mean? And it's just fantastic. And it's great when you think about it, because when I remember you guys in school talking about going to Joey's and going to Mary's and going for trials, and the talk was always about, if you get in there, Devo might get you a pro contract eventually and be your advisor. And this was all the talk in the school. Remember after it would have been the intercert, because there was no junior cert then. We were
Yeah,
intercert lads.
I
But
know.
yeah, just before you came on there, I was saying to you, like 35 years in the making this is, not to give our age away or anything.
It's a
Because
long time.
I tell you,
Yeah.
you still look a lot more fresh faced than I do. But I tell you,
I,
good
I
stuff.
doubt that, carrying a little bit of white and a few grey hairs as
Yeah.
well, Niall. So,
It's the
um,
beauty. It's the beauty of having sport in your life all along. That's
yeah, but
keeps you looking young.
yeah,
So I suppose, where do we begin with this? I suppose go back to sort of your youth career, starting out at Mary's and Joey's, and then on to Home Farm. Tell us a little bit about that.
yeah. Well, I started out with St Mary's up in Sandyford, and my dad was involved with um, a few others, himself, Willie Burke, and good mates of mine, Ben Bourne, and my older brother. So we had a good little team up there, and probably for 3 or 4 years we're doing okay in the South County League, and um, then I think Willie at around 11 and 12 he left to join Joey's, and he started doing really well. He was playing a year ahead of himself as well, and I think I was asked. I don't know whether I went on trial. I can't remember, Niall, but I went out, and yeah, I think it was around under 12s, 12 Premier, and I was there for a few years. The only thing when I was out there, yeah, with some, I was trying to think all the names. Jesus, Brandon Bell, Sean King, Niall O'Driscoll would have been involved in a year younger, and it was a fantastic club. Joey's,
Yeah, that was
Jim
a
Kelly.
that was a serious hub back then, wasn't it, for ballers back then?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
We had a fantastic team.
yeah,
Really, really good team. Rory Vance, Packy Lynch. Packy won the league a couple of
yeah,
times with St. Pat's as well.
yeah,
Really good players on Cobb. Um, like really, really top players. And unfortunately, at the time, Home Farm had probably the best team. And at the time that we just got pipped the two All Irelands, I think, and 13s and 14s by them. But we really had a really top class team. A couple of players went on trial to English clubs at the time. I think Rory went to Liverpool. And Willie was away, I think, with Grimsby at the time, our championship team. Mark Weir as well, he was away. Another Benildus boy.
yeah. Yeah, I remember
So
Mark well. I only touched base with Mark there a few weeks ago, actually, believe it or not. But I just remember the excitement in school at the time, where the boys were doing really well, and that youth career, like that was a high level of football as well. Not to be dismissed in any way, they were really really good footballers in those youth.
yeah, well, I think if you look at today's everyone played football. Like we played football in the yard in St. Benildus, and you're playing football all the time, maybe 5 or 6 hours a day. When you didn't really think of it as practice, that's what everyone did. So it's probably why the kids aren't. I wouldn't say they're not as good, but like we didn't know we were practicing. That's all we did. It was just part of your life. So
Yeah, we used
and
to.
everyone loved it. So
Yeah,
you're playing with tennis balls,
yeah, yeah,
bigger balls. You're playing with bigger lads
yeah,
getting shoved around
yeah.
as well, and it didn't do you any harm.
No, and a shout out to Willie as well. Willie skint me many a time in that yard, no doubt about it. Like Willie was always a great footballer, wasn't he? He always had that electric turn of pace as well,
Yeah,
like
he's
and
very good. He
control.
had a fantastic career. He's very
Yeah,
kind of underrated lad
yeah,
in League of Ireland. I mean, he was very, very successful with St. Pat's.
yeah,
Very unlucky not to go. I think Tranmere Rovers wanted to sign him when he signed for Shamrock Rovers, and I think they turned down. I think it was £60,000 at the time, or sixty
yeah,
thousand like sterling at the time, and
yeah,
that was 1995, I think.
yeah, yeah.
You know, and
That's when we dealt with real money, not the
yeah,
euro, not
yes.
euros. Yeah,
But like they were looking, I think they were looking for 100,000. I think it was sad on for Willie's part because at the time Tranmere were sixth in the championship, and like they were really, really keen on him. Like
yeah. That would have been a big. That would have
that
been
was
a
a back page. That was a back page heading in the Herald at the time.
yeah, yeah.
No, so
Absolutely.
he's very, very unlucky. I don't know whether Ray Tracy or something happened that they wanted more money, but they should have let him go because so you shouldn't really stop someone kind of progressing to the next level. Like
Yeah, well, especially not to that level if you're like fifth or sixth in the championship, which is like a huge level really of a step up,
massive,
you know.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, and also acts as a great advertising tool for the club you're leaving. You know what I mean? Because they obviously get that sort of bump off it as well that they're producing good quality talent. You know.
Without doubt. But he really went on to have a great career with St. Pat's as well. But I always felt he was very underrated, probably from people um, outside his football club. But I'm sure people at St. Pat's would say it was like the Dennis Irwin of Irish football, basically. You know,
Absolutely, yeah, and I
very
tell you,
very consistent.
and I tell you one thing, he was never underrated in our class, in our skill classes anyway, and on any of our soccer teams in school, he was never underrated.
No, definitely not.
He was
Like,
one of the first names down on the list, you know. So then I suppose moving on to your senior career, I was going down through it there the other day, and it's nearly easier to talk about who you didn't play for because these are all top teams, but these are all top teams, and you know, Home Farm, UCD, Derry, and a little trip down memory lane about the Derry one. I bumped into you one day in Ballally Shopping Centre, and it was 1996. And we were having a chat, and I said, "Yeah, I think we might have been outside the Paddy Powers, I think it was, or Labrooks, whatever it was." And I said to you, I said, "How's things with you? How are you getting on? What are you doing with yourself?" And you said, "I'm playing professional football." And I
yeah.
said, and I turned around to you and I said, "Well, that doesn't surprise me at all." And then I
Mm.
said, "So who are you playing for?" And you said, "I'm playing for Derry City." And I went, "Well, how does that work if you're down here?" And then you were explaining to me that like you do a lot of your training down here locally and stuff like that, and then you would head up there for matches and specific training and stuff like that and all. And it was great to hear it. And then obviously we all knew about Willie and St. Pat's and stuff like that and all. And obviously your own career with UCD, which was fantastic as well. But yeah, it was just a little trip down memory lane when I seen Derry City there. I said, I remember bumping into you that day and you telling me the story like it was mad, like you know.
Yeah, well, Derry was a fantastic time from throughout
Yeah,
my career.
yeah,
I was there for 2 years, and I left. We had won the league in '95 with UCD, I think, the first division
yeah,
with the season in the Premier, and then for me probably to push on, you know, to go to the next level again, I needed probably a move, um, and it worked out fantastically well. Felix Daly, my manager there, I think I had agreed to sign. It was funny. I met Felix in a hotel in Ballsbridge after a game. I think we played. I can't remember. I think we played Shelbourne, and they were playing Shamrock Rovers in the RDS at the time. We had arranged to meet in one of the hotels in Ballsbridge. I can't remember at the time, but I had agreed to sign then, and then I went back up to the Montrose to meet the lads after our game. But like Dr. Tony O'Neill, someone had rang him and told him that I had met Felix Healy. Like, so the first thing the doc said was, "Have you got a northern accent yet?" Like,
yeah.
and
What was your reaction to that?
so basically, I knew he knew, like, you know. So,
Yeah,
what could you say? Everyone, like the doc, knew everyone, like.
yeah,
So,
absolutely,
and
yeah,
back then there wasn't many people with mobile phones, or
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
you
So,
know. So,
did you ever get to the bottom of how it got out?
yeah, well then, like I think myself and Gavin Dykes and Richie Purdy, we were one of the first, the Bosman rules, because Derry were classed as a different jurisdiction, even though they were playing in the same league.
Yeah.
So, but I think in the end, the Doc's very clever man he was.
Yeah.
He ended up getting a fair few quid for us, like,
Oh, sure. Listen, someone wins in the end, don't they? Anyway.
Yeah,
So
well, the Doc, he was very, very shrewd. Now he's
yeah.
like, I had 2 year good years with them, but my 2 years with Derry, like especially my first year I was playing, I was at the top of my game.
Yeah.
And we did fantastically well. We won the league by I think 10 points, but I was lucky enough to play like some great players. Liam Coyle, probably the best player I ever played football with. Paul Hegarty's midfield, he's the assistant manager with Finn Harps now. Peter Hutton. He was another centre midfielder. Got 17 goals from midfield that season.
That's incredible, isn't it?
Like, that's incredible. Like if he was playing today, like he'd be definitely playing like in the Premiership, like,
Oh,
there's not them type of players are gone, but like I was lucky. Even though I was a good player in my own position as well, I was playing with really good players, and it brings you on again, like,
Yeah, absolutely.
But
so
we had a fantastic team, like a really, really good team. Like Gavin Dykes at the back, centre half, Tony O'Dowd goalkeeper, Tommy Dunn, Richie Purdy, Paul Curran. Like a name Tom Moan. Tom's the under-19 manager with Ireland.
Yeah.
He played in one wing, I played on the other. So, and we had fantastic legs. Like we'd run all day, like.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And then like Liam and Gary Beck up front, they were really, really top players. Like they were all the best players in their positions, like,
Yeah. So we know that the league is like the fans are intense and it's pure tribal in that league, isn't it? In terms of the fans. So what was how did the fan base take you up in Derry and from the move to UCD? It must have been culturally quite different.
Yeah, it was different because you're going from a place where there's hardly any fans in UCD. Everyone knows that. In Derry, you're going to a club that like massive fan base. I mean, the night we won the league, I think there was 12,000 at the game.
It's incredible, isn't it?
So the average, we were doing well that year. So the average gate was between 6,000 and 8,000 at home games. So every game, like there obviously is a bit of pressure on you to produce the goods because you're coming from Dublin as well, and they expect a little bit more because I'm not saying you're paid more, but like they expect you're traveling actually, so you have to be better than what they have at home, like.
Yeah.
But like we were very lucky with the manager, the lads, Kevin Mann and Kevin was the assistant, and Felix was fantastic. Felix Haley like Felix, like his background is he played in the '82 World Cup with Northern Ireland. Like he's fantastic career himself in Northern Ireland, and he played away a bit. So, but he was brilliant for me. He was brilliant because he had massive confidence in me. And like he massive belief in me. Like he'd be telling me every week that I was, I'm as good as so and so, and I'd be there going out. I was actually believing him, like, I was going out saying, "Jeez, I must be good." Like,
well, that's half the battle, isn't it?
Without doubt, it is, like, because when someone believes in you that much, like at some stage it kind of sinks in, and you go, "Jeez, I really must be a good player." So even there was times when I wasn't really playing well, but like he had me thinking that, geez, like I'm brilliant, like, So I was a little bit delusional at times, but he gave me great confidence, and like he was fantastic for me for 2 seasons, like.
Well, I think you're being a little bit off there now and saying that you were a bit delusional, you know what I mean? Because
well, he gave me great, like I was playing, and there was I was playing consistently well, and then I had a dip. When you have a dip as a player and things aren't going as well, just probably 6 or 7 games I didn't really play well, as good as I had been playing, but he kept playing me, like he was there, like, yeah, don't worry about it, just work your way out of it. And see, having that in other teams, because in most teams nowadays, if you don't play well for 2 games, you'll be out of the team now.
Yeah.
Especially the top teams, you can't really afford. You have to play you have to be hitting between a 7 and a 9 out of 10 for the top teams, like.
Yeah,
So you have to, that little bit of pressure. That's what I'm saying with the top teams. You have to play well all the time. It's not a case of, we want to win the league. Like we had a squad there. People said we were unworkmanlike. I don't think we were. We'd quality, like we'd a bit of quality and a little bit extra that other teams probably. Only maybe Shells at the time. Shells had really good players at the time as well. But we had that little bit of quality. But it was fantastic. It was a fantastic year, like especially that year, '97, like winning the league, and we lost out in the cup final to Shells. Unfortunately, Tony's brother, the goalkeeper, died 2 nights before the final. So it's massive, a massive anticlimax. We didn't really care because on the Friday before the final, Tony was practicing with his brother before up in King's Hospital up in Lucan, and he died of that enlarged heart, and that was a terrible time actually.
Oh, it's that.
I travelled with Tony up with Tommy Dunn and then Richie Purdy when we'd a rented car. The club used to rent a car out for us, like, and so it wasn't a terrible few days,
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, very tough. So then you moved on to Shelbourne.
Yeah, Tommy and after the first season, Tommy and Richie Purdy were let go from Derry, and there was only myself and Tony travelling up. I think the second year was a great learning curve when I look back on it, because we did fantastically well. Most of the team were very young as well, but I think we got a little bit cocky the second year, and we thought we didn't have to work as hard, and we didn't play as well the second year, and that was down to ourselves, because when you look back, we weren't working as hard individually or collectively as a team, and that was the main difference. But we lost that hunger that we had the year before, and that was the main difference. Felix sold a couple of players. He sold Peter as well after scoring 17 goals, which is a big loss to the team as well. And
how do you replace that?
It's very hard to replace, but like Felix was that confident that, in fairness to him, he would have gotten a lot of stick in Derry at the time, and probably we didn't hear about it as much as the lads in Derry would, like with the local press. But it's very hard. You can't replace that type of goal, at any league, at any level, like.
Absolutely.
But even like, just say, I'll give you an example. The atmosphere going up in the car, there would have been a fair bit of banter going up in the car. Lads slagging, like the lads all had girlfriends. Oh, you hadn't got a girlfriend. Be saying crazy things to me and all. You know what I mean? And you just miss the two lads who were great fun going up in the car. Like, I'll give you an example. Richie was going up in the car one day, and Felix used to say to us in the team talks, "Do you want anything to say? Have you anything to say?" And you might say a little bit, and someone, they'll always have one player that might try and say exactly what Felix is after saying, like, and you'd be there like, "Shut up, will you?" Like, but Richie was going up, and at the time Richie wasn't getting in, and Richie was there. I can't wait. Like, honestly, I can't wait that he asked me, if I want to say anything. I'm absolutely gonna hammer him about me not playing. And we were like, "Go on, Richie, go on. I can't wait for this." Like, So we're in the team talk, and Felix is going around, and waiting. And, Felix says, "Richie, do you want anything to say?" And we're all kind of, the three of us are there, the three Dublin lads are like, "Oh, geez, Richie's going to give it to him now." And Richie goes, "No, I think you've said it all, Felix." And the three of us start bursting out laughing. And all the Derry lads were looking at us going, like, "What the hell are you laughing at?" Like, we 3 hours in the car, him telling us he's going to hammer the manager, like,
Yeah.
But little stories like that you miss, like,
They're absolutely brilliant, what a wind up, you know what I mean?
But when the lads left then, so it was kind of not difficult, but it was the fun was a little bit harder to travel, and we weren't doing as well. So the opportunity to sign for Shells, Dermot Cayley had come in, and I was Dermot's first signing, and I'd gone back to pre-season with Derry, and I was doing really well. I think I'd scored about 4 or 5 goals pre-season friendlies up in Belfast against the likes of Glentoran and Linfield, and feeling really good. Again, I was after looking after myself really well in the summer, and towards the previous summer, I hadn't done as much work, so I got myself in good shape. And Dermot and he had put in a bid for me, so Derry accepted the bid, and I signed for Shells, and then I had a disaster then on my first game of the season. I did my cruise ship, so that was tough. Yeah. But it was a long few months.
And, how long did it take you to come back from that?
From the operation, there was a problem trying to get the operation at the time. When I got the operation, I was training 3 times a day at the time. So I got back in 5.5 months playing, which was kind of unheard of, because I was really I kind of very disciplined and with my diet, and probably a bit over the top. But I was back fully training in 4.5 months, and then I back playing the first time 5.5 months, which was fantastic,
Yeah, that's incredible, because sports science wasn't what it is now.
No way.
That's incredible.
No, I had a fantastic physio, and there's a girl there in the hospital, Mount Carmel, just near Milltown, and she was brilliant, because she pushed me and pushed me and pushed me. Larry Bourne and the physio with Shelbourne, and then you had the doc, Alan Bourne, the Irish doctor. So they looked after me well, and Alan's top doctor, and Larry was very good, and again the physio in the hospital was very good. But I'll be honest, I was kind of probably a bit over the top as well. I was very, very disciplined, but I was living like a monk for bloody 6 months, So, but I got myself back playing, and was kind of appreciate football a little bit more as well.
Yeah, it's the fact that you kept yourself in good shape and everything else. It's a testament to the time frame that it took to come back. You know what I mean? Because it's normally a hell of a lot longer than that.
Yeah, well, when I look back on it, though, I think if I had if I did it again, I probably would have taken my time and maybe leaving it till probably 8 months, because I didn't feel perfect until about 9 months, but the surgeon, Dr. Hurson at the time, from Blackrock, he was there to me. Listen, you have a new ligament. Your left knee is stronger than your right knee. When he said that to me, my mental approach was totally different. I was there. Listen, that's stronger now. So I wasn't afraid to go in tackles, or to go for balls or anything, whereas other lads would be a bit wary,
Yeah, they'd be kind of favouring it, and they'd be kind of half.
Yeah, they'd be. Yeah, and you can understand that as well. It's back then, though, that could nearly finish your ACL,
Absolutely, and that sort of mentality, that if you half go in on a tackle, that can nearly injure you even worse than
without doubt. Yeah,
absolutely.
So when I got back playing then, and that was because it had taken a fair few months to get with the club, getting the operation. So I was ready for the year 2000, 20 years ago, and we did a fantastic team. We had Steve Williams in goal, Pat Scully, Tony McCarthy, Declan Gagan, Owen Heary, Pat Fenlon, Paul Doolan, the 2 Baker brothers, and Stephen Gagan. Stephen was a fantastic player. Again, just comparing that team to my Derry team, they're all, again, at the time, probably the best players in their positions as well. So we won the double that year, and it was a fantastic year. Absolutely. But again, I was lucky. I was playing with all top players. And they had a fantastic mentality. Our training sessions, there was we had a fantastic squad. Your top players on the bench, Like if you didn't play well,
Yeah.
you'd be out of the team. And Dermot was the team kind of managed itself. Like, I know people go on about the great United team and all the good players, but if you look down through the spine of that team, you had Pat Scully, who managed, played with Arsenal, had a good career in England as well, and came home. You had Paul Doolan and Pat Fenlon, so the two of them have managed since. You don't hear yet right back on managed as well. So you had leaders, and then you had quiet leaders, fellas who I'm not saying but I was, I wasn't short of confidence either, even though I was quieter lads than the rest of them, and Tony McCarthy, Declan Gagan, Declan was Stephen's brother, but absolutely fantastic player to play in front of, so.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
you had leaders all over the pitch. Really.
leaders all over the place,
leaders all over the pitch.
Yeah, and it didn't I remember one. Yeah, I remember Dermot got a little bit thick one match up in Dundalk, and we weren't playing particularly well, but it was Niall all at half time, and he came in, had a little bit of a rant, and he was kicking tables and telling lads to be getting their P45s, and we were looking around, and I think Paul Dillon turned around and said, "Are you going to say anything constructive?" Someone, I think it was Paul, I can't remember. It wouldn't be out of Paul's character to say, I think Dermot, we seen him Wednesday then. That was on a Friday night, but he didn't come back in after the game. Alan Matthews' assistant did, and we won the second half 2-0. We won 2-0, but we didn't see him then until the Wednesday. He didn't come back in. He just walked back out, and that everyone just sorted it out. So yeah. That's the type of character now you don't see that anymore in players for some reason.
No, not at all. Not at all.
But it's a different world, So I'm not blaming the kids today or the young lads today, but there was real kind of real leaders and characters in the game,
Yeah, there was moments down through your career where you just had a gathering of quality leaders and players that drove you on to success, and it's not often that it happens that you have that amount all in the one sort of team, you know what I mean?
So yeah, well, the intensity, the intensity of our training session was massive, because there'd be lads nearly kicking each other off the pitch, and everyone trained the way they played, and if you didn't, it was kind of frowned upon, even though I remember playing a game once, and I think a ball came across me on back post and I missed, and Stephen Gagan turned around and he was there it's a story, Jamesy.
Yeah. I'd say even on the pitch, the look was more than enough. He'd probably.
That's what I'm saying. It wasn't even Stephen. Just it was the look,
Yeah.
How can you miss?
Yeah, it was what's the story of a granny at home that had put that one away? What's going on?
Exactly. But that's the quality that you were playing with, and again, they brought you on to a different level, but again, and in fairness to Dermot, he was very good at assembling the squad. He picked all them players, in fairness to him, because he had come in from the year previous, and from, I think, Damien Richardson had Damien would be a total different mindset to Dermot, because Dermot or Damien would have gone on about the beautiful game, and if he passed where everything was about being, with Dermot, was about being effective and ruthless, and I think we won 13 games 1-0 that year.
That's unbelievable, isn't
it? Excuse me.
It's definitely it's a testament to the mentality of the team when you could do that.
Yeah, without doubt. And if 13 games, it's unheard of to win 1-0. If you got the goal up, that was it. It was just shut up shop. See, we might be able to nick another one, but this game is over. Yeah. And I think other teams you were playing against, they knew. Mentally they were beaten, because there wasn't many that were gonna beat you in individual battles.
Yeah, and obviously
we're on your game.
Yeah, and obviously
that's respect to other teams,
Yeah, and obviously other teams now, if you get a goal against them, that they're not going to have a way back because, you know, track record would say that, like, you don't give too many goals away.
No, without
Yeah.
doubt. Like I think we had won. I think we'd won about 12 or 13 games. We went up to the Brandywell and we got beat. Like Dermot had a terrible record in the Brandywell, and Liam got. I think he scored from about 30 yards out. He chipped Steve Williams, and that was our first defeat, like in about 15 games. But trust Liam to do it. Like, but Dermot had an absolute nightmare record in the Brandywell, and he came in afterwards, and he was there like Coyle has to be Coyle again, like you know. But I think Liam liked playing against him as well.
Yeah, and of course, I'm sure with your connection as well, you were ragging, I'd say, were you?
I had to be like, Liam was the best player I played with. He's fantastic, like different level, like altogether.
So then we move on to Dundalk.
Yeah, I left Shells. The year after that, we played, and there was a few things happened in the dressing room that the people would have known about, and there wasn't the same atmosphere. It wasn't probably handled the way it should have been by the club, and players left. I wanted to stay with Shells, but because Dermot, I had played in Europe then, and Dermot had played me in the centre of the park, and I wanted to play centre midfield. And Paul Doolan was leaving, and Paul was 36 at the time. I was 26 at the time, and I wanted to stay, but I was offered a new deal, but it was like on really, really slightly better terms than I was on, and for 3 years and what I did. So I moved on to Dundalk, and for a year, and had a good year. Like although we were relegated, but personally I played really well for the season. We got to the cup final as well, against Bows, and the week before the final I actually pulled my hamstring. So I missed out in the final after doing really well, because I got the 2 goals. We had won the quarter final, a replay up in Finn Park. I'd scored the 2 goals. We won 2-0. We were massive underdogs in the semi-final against Shamrock Rovers, and we won 4-0. I scored in that game as well. And then we just missed out. I think it was the highest amount of points, but we were relegated at the same time. So it was a strange year. I personally had a good season. I was player of the year, like for the club and all the supporters and all that. But
I was only watching a video of that goal there the other day, where your man goes down the left and he cuts back in and squares it to you, and you going to run onto it, go skip around the lad, and then you put it into the bottom left corner.
Bottom right corner. I scored a lot of goals. I scored 2 goals. I think it was against Finn Harps with my right foot as well.
Yeah, and I was listening to, I think George Hamilton was doing the commentary on it, and George Hamilton goes, "What a goal by James Keddy," and he even put it in with his bad peg or something like that. You know what I mean? But it was a great goal. It was a great goal.
Yeah, it was great, because I tell you what, Niall, we weren't expected to win that game, and we had got a new centre forward, Gary Haylock, who had played with me in Shelbourne. And Gary came in just after Christmas, I think it was. We scored a massive amount of goals, and again, if we had gotten him a week or 2 weeks before Christmas, we would have stayed up. Martin Murray was the manager. Frank O'Neill. We had a good team actually. We just fell short. We didn't get enough points before Christmas. But it was a fantastic club, great support up there at the time, good crowds, but we just lacked a little bit of quality the first part of the season, and it doesn't matter at any level when you get good players in. He was the difference. He got the goals. We were making a lot of chances. We just didn't score enough goals at the time.
And it's not the type of league where you want to be playing catch up either, is it? Because
definitely not.
It's so competitive, like.
Yeah, and we lost. I think we lost out by a point to Longford staying up, and I think Longford beat Pats or something. Pats were after putting out a really, really average team against them down in Flancare Park. So again, a little bit of honesty as well. I think the end of the season, things like that come back in you as well. But that's the way it went. Luckily for me, I was after having a good season personally, because it was total different setup. Like I was going from Shells where everything was top notch. You were looked after really well. I'm not saying you weren't but everything like your kit man, everything all you had to do was bring your wash bag, and that's 20 years ago.
Yeah, yeah,
And
proper professional setup. Like,
yeah, it was proper profession. We were training every day, again, I was playing with top players. But the only thing is, it brought out a bit more in me because there was a lot more onus on me to produce the goods,
yeah.
and that season I did, and I did really well.
Mm. So then it's off to Rovers we go.
Yeah, lucky. I was very lucky that I put a clause in my contract like that if we were relegated, um, that I could move on a free, and um, I was lucky that I did,
Mm.
and that was through the PFAI. They said to me, just in case, why don't you put it in? And my contract was drawn up with Dundalk, and I said, listen, I need to just get this in just in case we don't, if worst case scenario. But yeah, Liam Buckley came in for me then, and Liam was very good. 2 years with Liam, and very calm man. He'd never shout at players. So I played for loads of different managers where like Felix in Derry, Felix used to never to speak to us about football. He'd be, building you up, and he might tell you a story about life, or he was working with disadvantaged kids and he'd relate it to a game. Then you had Dermot. Dermot would, Dermot was actually very good in Europe. Tactically, he was good in Europe. But Dermot wouldn't be afraid to be able to, say what he had to say, and he'd be pretty loud. And sometimes you'd hear him, but he's a very, very intelligent man. Then Martin Murray again in Dundalk, he was quiet enough man, but he'd be able to say things, if he had to say them. But Liam was very, very calm, never shouted on the line. He'd always use his notebook. And he was very, very good for me because he wanted to play the right way, and um, I was lucky enough that we had a good team again. With Tony O'Dowd was in goal again. He had moved. Um, Pat Scully, Stephen McGuinness. There's some really good players. Trevor Malloy, Tony Grant. At one stage, Alan Reynolds, Jason Caldwell, Shane Robinson, Stephen Grant. So they were all good players. We lacked a little bit more quality just to go the extra step. And but Lane was very, very good. He was telling us before that he played in Belgium, and his coach in Belgium was again, he was very calm, never shouted at people. So I think he picked up, you know, that from that Belgian coach, and I think he played in the UEFA semi-final years ago with the team. Played in Spain or Racing Santander, and again, if you think that I think Liam must be 60 now. He's managing Sligo. He's had a long career,
Yeah, absolutely.
so you can lead even if you're nice,
Yeah, absolutely.
So
So then, before we move on to the next team, we should discuss, I mean, the tribalism and the rivalry in the league, especially around the Dublin clubs. I mean, people talk about like Arsenal and Tottenham and Liverpool and Man United and all, but has there ever been a rivalry like Rovers and Bows?
no, definitely not. Well, like I'm from up around there, so that, and all my family are Rovers. I followed Rovers as a kid in Milltown, and um, it was very unfortunate what happened when I was there at Rovers, because Liam again had massive plans, and he was let down. You'll never know. Like, I don't know the full story of what happens behind the scenes. Like, we only get bits and pieces. But I mean, I didn't get paid for 12 weeks off Rovers. I was waiting and waiting to get paid at the time, and I mean, I could have moved, and I could have moved into a few different clubs. Like, so when you haven't got paid for 12 weeks, and your wife's saying, like, you know, we still have to pay our mortgage, Jay, like, and I was there, like, you know, Liam would have said he's going to sort it, like, and I'm there, I'll give him another week, and, you know, he give him another week, ends up at, it's nearly 13 weeks, like, and, like, that's 13 weeks I could have gotten paid off someone else. So I just said, like, Stephen Kenny was the manager at Bowes, and I think Drogheda came in for me as well. They were going full time as well, and so I moved in. I agreed to move to Bowes at the time, yeah. So it's a big move, like, you know.
Yeah.
It's a big move because, you know, you're going from, obviously, you know, one extreme to the other, like, and there'll be people down in Bowes that wouldn't like you because you're coming from Rovers. And then, but, like, I remember my mum's, she was living in Wedgwood at the time, where the front of the house was sprayed Bowes scum, like, you know.
No way,
Yeah,
seriously.
front of the wall, no, front wall, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
So,
God.
like, then I was getting a few phone calls about 2 in the morning, like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
The night before match day, probably, you know.
yeah, well, pre-season I was getting a few phone calls, but I'd signed for Bowes. Bowes probably were the top team at the time. Glenn Crowe, Kevin Hunt, Fergal Harkin, Colin Hawkins, Simon Webb, Damien Lynch, like, Matty Gregg, Seamus Kelly, like, top players. Bobby Ryan, like, you know. So
I remember.
I signed for Stephen. On the agreement that I'd play centre midfield, and Stephen was the manager then. Yeah, it's mad. He's managing Ireland now. So it's.
I remember Glenn Crowe back then. He was just a goal machine, wasn't
Yeah, Glenn never missed.
he?
Like, you
Yeah.
know, he never missed.
I can't remember. Did Glenn get a call up for one of the Ireland squads, or?
He did. I think he got 3 caps, I think.
Yeah, I was thinking that back in the day. Yeah, which was fantastic for League of Ireland.
Oh yeah, well, he was, you know, he was top quality. Like, he didn't, like, again, he got a chance, and if he got a chance, he rarely missed.
Yeah,
Rarely missed.
I often say to lads when I'm talking about the Ireland team that it's a shame really that they don't dig more into the league and
No, I do think, yeah, you can say that we don't. Unfortunately, we don't have a professional league.
Yeah.
So, see the likes of Jack Bourne, every week he's playing against, you know, his top game is against Dundalk, like.
Yeah.
So after that, who's he playing? He's playing against, like, Cork last year were really poor.
That was such a weird move from, wasn't it? He's gone out to Hapoel, and then Mick McCarthy leaves 4 weeks later.
Well, that's the joys of football, isn't it? Like,
yeah, but you can imagine that Mick McCarthy would have been fairly influential in Jack going out there and signing, you know.
Yeah, I feel sorry.
Yeah, he's out there now, kind of on his own, if you like, really. You know?
No, but I'm sure. Listen, I'm sure he's well looked after financially, like, and I'm sure that played a big part. He's nicer weather than he has in Ireland, so
yeah,
there's a few positives from it as well. He's a better chance of playing for his national team.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and there's much more coverage over there as well, so
yeah,
it's a better standard. And people might say, it's not a better standard. It's a professional league, like. So until we have a professional league in Ireland, you know, it's going to be very difficult for players.
So tell us this, if you can remember this, your first game for Bowes away to Shamrock Rovers, and you're in the dressing room getting tugged out for Bowes, and you're about to go out. What was the reception and the crowd like, and how did you feel? Because, like, that's.
Well, I see things like that now. I'll be honest with you, they never really got to me, like, you know, because you're there, you have to be really, really professional, like, strong mentally. You know, you're going to get, it's like, you get abused from both ends.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so, like I remember my wife, I played a game for Rovers in Dalymount, and coming out with my wife after the game, and My wife was absolutely abused, like, by Bowls fans. And like, I'm there saying to her, like, don't say anything. Just walk by these now, don't say anything. Like,
Yeah,
it's about 50, like a mob of 50, and like they're
yeah,
saying all
yeah,
sorts, like, and I'm there, like,
yeah,
that's just part of football. Like,
yeah. And
so, like, when you're playing, you don't really hear it as much, but
yeah,
like, it's great because, like, it's part of the game, like,
yeah,
and the fans are abusing each other.
yeah.
It makes like this. Look at the Premiership now, or any of the games. There's no fans. It's not the same. Like, so
No,
they create the atmosphere, and the
yeah,
build up to the game is brilliant. The whole week between the press, family, friends, and then from within the club, then you can't lose this game.
yeah.
You know,
I often say to guys that if they watch League of Ireland on the telly doesn't do the atmosphere the justice it deserves.
no.
Because
Definitely, there's no better thing than bringing a kid to a game and actually letting them feel that atmosphere and experience the atmosphere, because especially to a game like that,
yeah,
because like it's fellas, like, it's their life, like,
yeah,
like
absolutely.
some of the fans, it's like it's crazy, like, but
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
great times, like playing with both sides. Like, I mean, I love playing with Shamrock Rovers because I follow them.
yeah,
I absolutely love playing. It's a pity that Lane couldn't sort things out,
yeah,
with the way things went. I love playing for Lane as well, and we just lacked a little bit of quality, like, and but it was a pity the way things went. And but listen, that's part of football. Like, oh, I mean, there's a lot of players that have gone from Rovers to Bows or the other side, like, and
yeah,
even happened this year, like, Danny
yeah,
Mandrew, and he's gone the other way. And
yeah,
but that's always going to happen, even clubs everywhere, like,
yeah, absolutely. So then we're off to draw the United.
Yeah, Drogheda then, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, sorry, I had gone from Stephen Kenny was the manager. Stephen got sacked after we played in Tallinn in Estonia, and Gareth Farley had come in, and Gareth was younger than me at the time. He was the manager, and fairness to Gareth, when he came in, he was very fair with everyone. Like, he gave everyone a fair old crack of the whip, and but he had a difficult season. I don't know. Again, it's another thing. You wouldn't know what's been promised behind the scenes with players. I think it was 9 players out of contract on his first year as well, so it was difficult for him. And it was his first year managing, so he's coming in to manage a team that I'm sure he was after being promised the world by the club, and all of a sudden, all these good players are leaving.
yeah. It was probably kind of don't mind these 9 lads in their last year. We'll get all that sorted out for you. That's all
Yeah,
good.
and that didn't happen because most of the players left.
Okay.
And he was in fairness to him, he was very good, very professional in his approach. Second year was difficult for him because he had to play a lot of young players, and he hadn't got the same sort of budget as the likes of Shells. Like, it doesn't matter. All the leagues, if you look around all the leagues in the world, it's all about the money you have and how you spend it, because your recruitment now is everything. Like,
Yeah. Um.
off to Drogheda then, yeah.
Yeah.
My old friend Paul Doolan, he was the manager Drogheda at the time. I was 33 at the time, and he asked me to sign. He had asked me to sign 2 years previous, when I went to Bowes at the time, and don't think he spoke to me for about 6 months when I signed. But Paul was after assembling a good squad, and again, he was looking for probably a bit of experience. Um, Self, Brian Shelley and Glenn Fitzpatrick had signed then, and really good season, like good season. We were lacking a little bit of quality. It was full time. Paul was very good. He was a fantastic coach. Again, he was after assembling a squad of maybe 22 players that were every bit as good as each other, and it took us a year just to win the league. Like, and again, like, it was all about teamwork though, because we had a lot of injuries. Um, the year we won the league, but we had players that could come in and just replace them, definitely as good as each other, because I was playing, Ollie Carr was playing. We were in the same position, and like people say, "Oh, Ollie was better than me," or "I was better than Ollie." It didn't matter. We were just teammates. Like, if he wasn't playing well, I was in. If I wasn't playing well, he was in, and that was all around the park. That everyone was as good as each other, and even the lads that weren't playing, like whoever wasn't playing, there's a good atmosphere around the place. There was no bad eggs. If you weren't playing, you just got on with it, and you trained as hard to try and push the lads that were playing. Like, we'd have 11 to be 11 on a Wednesday, and you wouldn't notice the difference between both teams. Like,
So there was that good squad mentality in there, and it was
yeah, fantastic. That togetherness and that what you need to win a league. Like, everyone had the same kind of mindset, the same goal. Like, I'll do anything to win the league. If I have to sit on the bench for 9 weeks and then wait my turn to get a chance, but when I get my turn, I'll be ready. And in fairness to Paul, he created a good atmosphere up there. We started, everyone kind of gone into the weights big time as well, and good programs, but we were like, very, very professional. Like, very the setup was excellent, like in Mosney, and like, we'd go off to Marbella for pre-season training, play a few Russian teams, so like really, really professional, like, so.
Yeah, not dissimilar to how you'd feel today or how things are done today. You were like
We were proper professional.
Ahead of your time, like, ahead of your time.
Like, everything was, we go up training again. You just have your wash bag. The kit man Lockie died last year. He's like the best kit man ever. Like, all your gear be laid out, and he'd know all the players' little habits, like what they liked. Everything was there for you. So you were just there. You'd have lunch after training. Everything was laid out, and it was the way a club should be run. Like,
proper
very,
kit,
very
proper
intense.
Kit, man.
Because Paul, like, if Paul was, was a brilliant coach, like, and he just wanted the best for everyone, and he was assembling a really good squad. And after winning the Setanta, we won the Setanta the first year, and then the league the following year, like, so, and the Setanta the following year as well. So he's gone from winning the cup, the Setanta, and then the league and the Setanta. So he was like very successful. Like, but again, I had left the following year. Then I was 34, and yeah, I think 6 of us were released. There's Stephen Bradley, Gavin Whelan, Stephen Gray, all good players as well. And again, I don't think Paul realised at the time, the lads, like at the time, they were kind of at the end of the season. They were 6 lads there was 6 lads like us. I think we were on the bench at the time, the last few games, if I can remember. And then there was another, like, there was probably 6 or 7 that were in the stand that were costing probably £8,000 or £9,000. Like,
yeah.
So, like, it's totally different now. Like,
I suppose though, when you're achieving that level of success, taking that amount of players out in one sort of swoop is obviously going to have that kind of effect. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's like, why would you change a winning formula that dramatic? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, well, I mean, I would never ask Paul if you ever look back and kind of reflected on, like, who we let go, or. But that's what I'm saying. Sometimes it's important to bring good people to the club, because I could honestly say to you that all them lads, even if they weren't playing, there wouldn't be a bother out of them on the bench or whether they were in the stand.
yeah.
They were there. They had that kind of professional outlook that, this is my job. If I'm not playing, what can I do to get back in the team or to get back in the squad? And they had a fantastic professional kind of outlook on it.
And a level of experience that, like, you can't really put a price on. Like,
Definitely,
if you look in your own case there, I mean, the experience you've had in the league, playing up and down the country, most of the top teams, and like, how would you pay for that kind of experience if you're brought in around a lot of young players in there as well? You know what I mean? You can't monetize that, if you like.
No, you're right, Niall. Yeah, because It's all like that little bit. I was kind of, because I had played with Paul as well. I played with Paul in Derry and in Shells, and we won things together, and we lost leagues on the last day together. And I have massive respect for him. But I would always put the players right and keep the lads on his side. Where I do stuff that he would never known about. Like,
Yeah.
he wouldn't. And like, even to this day, I wouldn't have tell him stuff that I did. Like, and like, you probably never know. Like,
Yeah.
But that's to me, that's the sign of being a good pro as well, and especially young players looking after them. Like,
Yeah. It's certainly a good trait to have that kind of vision, to see it and to support him at that level and stuff like that, and to do it in a way that it's not always seen. It's just part of your makeup to get on with it and get it done.
yeah, well, and like I've never said that to him, but like players would come to me and say things to me, and I say, listen, just keep the head. It'll be grand.
Yeah.
You get your chance, or when you get your chance, or if they might say to you, like, how can I get into the team, or and you think he'll give me a chance, and I'd say to him, well, this is the way it works. Like, this is,
Yeah.
you've got to show him in training, like, and you might have to do something extra in bloody training, or what you're doing, are you staying back doing your weights, or you're doing all your core work, and like little small things like that, and just making sure that they were, like, things were okay for them, and then without saying anything to him, things were okay from his end, like.
Yeah. It's also a massive show of respect for yourself in terms of the experience you had and how people held you in such high regard as well. That those guys would approach you as well and say, "Well, what do you think?" And they felt comfortable approaching you to say, "How do you think I should go about this?" or "What do you think I should be doing?" So obviously you carried a lot of respect in those
Yeah, I
changes.
did, but so, it was funny. Like, some lads would say to James, "What's the story with your mate?" You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
and I'd say, "Listen, he's not. He's my friend. Like, he's my manager. Like, And the
yeah,
lads would be winding me up. But
yeah,
and it's not massive respect for Paul. I was in the trenches with him in the likes of Shells. We won the double, and again the following year we had lost the league on the last day, and again, it's not a nice feeling. Like, I kind of remember them things more than actually winning the bloody things sometimes. Like,
yeah,
but when you've played with people and you know how far they go and what they've sacrificed family wise, and that's what there's like, people don't realize that there's a lot of things that happen that you have to do to be successful, and like small things, going to weddings with your wife, and you'd be doing the sober dancing for the whole bloody day, and there'd be someone, drinking, an Irish lad beside you saying, why aren't you drinking? Why aren't you
yeah,
drinking? Like, and I say,
yeah,
I have a match tomorrow, like, and I have to go early, like, and I
yeah,
always remember that, like, and that happened to me once. With my wife's best friend, and I was playing for Dundalk at the time, but I scored down in Cork at the time, and like when I went over, like, I just burst out with emotion, like I was there. That's why I didn't drink. I was saying to myself, that's why I didn't drink. Like, and it was the 86th minute, like, and like, lads were looking at me going, he's crazy, like, but I was kind of letting out loads of emotion that after sacrificing a whole day with my wife's best friend, like, to make sure that I was right for the next day.
The one thing I would say to people watching and listening, if you want to know about James's emotion and scoring and his love of the game, all you have to do is just go and Google your images. The images that they put out there on Google for you when you score goals and stuff like that, the facial expressions, the body language, like, it just meant the world to you. You can see it in those images even to this day, that like it was everything to you. And
It was,
it comes through so much in those images when you look at them. I was only looking back at them there the other day after you confirmed you come on and we had the chat and all, and I was looking, going, you can see it in his face and his body language and his eye that, like, he celebrated every moment of those goals and those moments like it was in slow motion.
I did, yeah,
It
yeah.
was
I actually one of the funniest stories was with down in Waterford. I was playing with Drogheda. It was near the end of the season, and things weren't going well. We didn't play particularly well, but I scored an OG from around edge of the box, And I was there, oh jeez, that was 2-2. It was 2-2. And then the last kick of the game, I broke from Paul was after taking Simon Webb off, and he put me back left full, and I said, ah, feck this, like I seen Shane Robinson breaking down the right, and I just took a run into the box from nearly the halfway line, but he pulled it back and I missed a load of people, and I buried it in the bottom corner, like. But geez, I also remember that one, like it was kind of like the emotion of actually just making sure we won after what happened, like about 2 minutes previous after scoring an OG, like.
Yeah, I can just imagine the roller coaster of emotion going from Jesus Christ, what have I just done to all of a sudden here we go, like excellent, you know what I mean? And it was
I
just,
know, yeah.
I say the relief as well was unbelievable.
Yeah, the relief, but again, it was fantastic times.
Yeah.
Well, you know, and
Yeah.
it's great to look back, like because it's great to look back when you like you had success and
I can see it in your here even chatting to you. I can see as you're talking about it, you're reliving it. As you're
yeah, it's
talking, you can
great. Like
see
it's
it.
great. Like they're great
Yeah.
memories. Like and
Yeah.
people can never take them from you because
No.
again, I worked hard enough to get where I was. You know, and you know, I had played again with top teams, but I was, like people say, I was lucky and all. Well, I wasn't lucky. I worked hard to get where I was. Like,
Yeah.
you know?
It's those cold winter months and winter nights where you put in that graft that people never see.
Yeah, well, you're always. I always say to players out in Bray, even now, like you always have to look for where you can get an edge, and whether it's your diet, whether your strength conditioning, like how can you make yourself better? Like, do you stay back? Do you hit 50, 60 balls with your bad foot? You know, people going back to just what I said about scoring with my right foot. I used to practice when I was 33 on my right foot all the time. Like, and just like if I could score, like people say, "I go in." He goes in and he's right. You know, if he gets a half yard, don't worry about that. But I made loads of goals with my right foot um, because people weren't expecting me to be able to put crosses in. And all.
Yeah.
So if I check back on my right, I knew it was going to be a good cross because I was after practicing it about 60 times
Yeah.
the day before or something.
Yeah.
You know, or the week previous, like so. You know, the little small things like that people don't realize. Like, you know, if you want to be as good as you can be, like.
Just gives you that little advantage, and they don't
Yeah,
even
little
know
edge,
about it.
like anything, like that's what I'm saying. That you'd wonder do players listen? The top players do it.
Yeah.
You know, the top players do it. Like you know.
Yeah. So then, back to Shelbourne.
Back to Shells, yeah. Again, it was very funny. Dermot ended up being the manager again. So again, he goes, "Will you come in and play?" You know. So that's my last year. I said to him, "Listen, I'll play." And he goes, "Well, listen, if we get promoted, will you stay on?" And I was there. Yeah, definitely. You know, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, it was strange out here. We went in the league till the last kick of the game, and the 94th minute we lost the league. Limerick. We're playing against Limerick. Mick Shields was involved from Benildus, with Mike Curley from Limerick, and we had gone 1-0 up, and like everyone was singing like champions, like or champions, like wherever the songs were, and the last kick of the game they got a corner, the ball went back out on the left side, ball back in, headed back out, and a fella that had only come on the right corner, he hit a shot and it trickled by about 6 or 7 players. It was like slow motion. I can actually still see it. Like, geez, will someone stop that going where it's going? Like, and it just trickled in the bottom corner. And like I've never seen Talca Park. Like the place just went dead. And Dundalk had played, I think, Kildare County or someone down, and they'd won 5-0, and their game was over. Like, but that was my last game professional football. It was a
So,
terrible. Jesus Christ! It was what an anticlimax. Like, you know, it was absolute disaster. You know, absolute disaster because we'd missed about 4 or 5 chances in the first half, like easy chances, like but listen, it wasn't meant to be, and that you know that was my last game, like.
How was that?
And
How
I
was
knew
that
going
following
into it
week?
was my last game because I always wanted to finish when I was 35 or 36, whatever it was. Like at the time, I just wanted to finish. Like
How did that following week feel?
like that still feels terrible to this day. Like
Did you question the retirement and thinking I kind of can't
no,
end on this, or?
no, I was listening. I had decided I had good legs. I would have been able to play for another season, no problem. Like I would have played left full or definitely centre midfield. Definitely could have played, but it's hard when you're playing on the wing all the time, because it's all about your legs. So like when you get older, it's all about playing around people and having that kind of imagination to beat people a different way, instead of dribbling. So you have to be clever then. But like I could have played left full. I could have played centre midfield in front of a back four, no problem. But I had decided to give up. So, but it was terrible in there, man. It was a terrible finish because the club they did have to put massive, fair few quid into the squad that year, and not saying we deserve to win, but like we shouldn't have gotten beaten that game. We should have won in the game, but it was strange that Mick was on the bench. Mick Shields that I sat beside, he was on the bench that night. And, I mean, they celebrated. I think Mick had a go with them after the game because they celebrated as if like they were middle of the table or something, And, but they knew they were after, they're after stopping us from winning the league as well. So you'll always get that as well,
Yeah, absolutely. And Mick was a very good lad as well. Mick was a good
Great,
lad, even all through
great
Sweden.
lad. I still speak to him today, and again he won the first division with Pat Scully. There's like Pat that played with me in Shells, again, Pat was very, very professional in his approach. He was my roommate in Shells, and he managed Shamrock Rovers as well in the first division as well, and Limerick. So, Mick had worked with him as well. So, and Mick only gets involved with people who are very, very serious and about winning as well. So he's great lad.
Yeah, excellent. So then we move on. We go from playing into coaching and managing. So tell me about that transition.
Yeah, I was I think I was asked to help out Liam Kelly out in Glebe North and pre-season, and I went out there for around 6 weeks, and then I got the chance to manage Bluebell in the Leinster Senior League, and I just took that, and I stayed there for a year. We lost the league on the last day by a point, and we won the Metro Cup final. So it wasn't a bad year, but I had problems behind the scenes with the board and that. They didn't want to progress, or it was difficult because you're coming from a different mindset. Niall, I was used to being with clubs that that wanted to move on and get better every year, and but the people at the time that were involved in the club, they were happy just to go along, and and I wasn't. I wanted to improve things, like whether it was the pitch or the training ground or even training kit for lads, all that sort of stuff. And people don't say I was probably a little bit naive getting into bed with certain people and that. But listen, I learned a fair bit then.
Well, this was the mentality that you grew up on, and it was your whole career. Like, I mean,
Well, that's what I'm saying. It
that
was
would have made
a total different mindset. So you're dealing with people where the only thing I've learned when you look back on things and a little bit of self-reflection, if that type of opportunity had come around again and known who I was working with, I wouldn't have taken the job, because you have to work with people that have kind of the same sort of energy and mindset as yourself, and kind of want you to progress and want the club to get better all the time, and look at things at the end of the year and say, well, that didn't go well, we need to tweak that here, and all the little small things. But when you get all the little small things, they all add up, and then well, we've got better at that. Where do we have to go next? And I think that's the way you have to. That's the way I was.
Yeah, ambition and enthusiasm go hand in hand, don't they? Really?
Without doubt. I'm quiet by nature, but like, you know, you have to be a different person as well when you're managing, and
Yeah,
you do. I mean, I take all the little bits from all the managers that I had, and all the little bit like this. Sometimes it's good to give out to people as well, like, or as much as I go back to Liam Buckley, very very quiet, and he'd never like. There'll be times there was times that I wanted him to give out to people that I thought he should have given out to people, and he didn't. But then there's other times, so you take all the bits and pieces, the good and bad with people, and then you try and kind of have your own identity as well. Like,
how many times on the sideline were you tempted to throw on a bib? Like, how was that adjustment?
yeah, it was. Listen, it's hard, like,
Yeah,
it is difficult, but I was hard. Like, it's difficult going from a player to manager, because you're managing all different sort of mindsets and different people, different mentality. What makes this lad tick? And I also remember Liam Toohey out in Home Farm. Like, he was very good at that. He kind of knew what got each individual going. He knew how to get them going all the time. So he knew what to say at the right time,
yeah,
in the right place, all the time.
yeah. Because I know I never played football at any level really, only a bit of schoolboy stuff and things like that. No, but when I'm down here coaching the under 18s, I'm kicking every ball during that game from the sideline.
Yeah,
Every single ball. And like I can only imagine what it's like for a lad like yourself who had such a great career in football. You know what I mean? To
it's
be
difficult,
standing
but you have
there
to
and
you have to separate yourself, because you can't. You just have to let them be, and give them that confidence, to let them go out and express themselves. And listen, when the young players, that if the young players, they're definitely going to make mistakes. That's the one guarantee, that they will make mistakes along the way. Like, and you have as you get a little bit older, the better the player you get, you make less mistakes.
yeah,
And but you have to understand, but you have to give young players a chance as well.
yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Mm.
we have that thing down the FAI, directive down there. We give everyone a chance and there's minimal playing time and all that good stuff.
Yeah,
Everyone gets a chance regardless of how.
yeah. I think it's right to be fair with, especially
Yeah,
young kids, like,
absolutely.
because they all. I mean, I go back to when I was a kid, and I was tiny. I didn't really grow till I was 18, like,
Yeah, yeah,
and like, when I was older, I was 15, 16, 17. I struggled a bit because of that, the physicality, and I just wasn't there. I hadn't grown. I hadn't matured. Like, and again, I only grew. And I remember seeing fellas when I was 19 and saying, "What happened to you? Like, Jesus, you grew." Like, and,
yeah,
I was tiny, like, till I was 18 or 19. I'm not saying I'm a giant now, but
yeah,
I was absolutely tiny. Like,
yeah. So tell us about you're down at Bray Wanderers now. Tell us about Bray.
Bray, yeah, Gary Cronin asked me in 2 seasons ago, and I knew Gary's brother Kevin had played for me in Bluebell centre half. Kevin came back from Leeds United, and very good player himself. So that was kind of, Gary was after taking the job. I think, yeah, 2.5 years ago, I think. And at the time he asked me to come in, but I didn't like. I looked at the squad of players that he had, and there was loads of stuff going on off the field, and I just said, "No, Gary. Look, if I went in there, I'd probably say stuff that I probably shouldn't say. Like, I didn't like the players that he had, the group that he had at the time.
Yeah,
So the following season, when he cleared out what he had to clear out, I went in with him, and we did. We kind of underachieved that year, and we finished fifth. Um, just missed out in the playoffs, but we definitely underachieved with the players we had. Last year we had a really good season. Again, we brought in a few new players, a little bit better quality, and we just missed out. We just short by a point, on getting promoted. But again, we're working on. Again, Niall O'Driscoll and Timmy O'Driscoll had taken over the club. when Gary initially started, and I mean they cleared all the debts in the club, and so slowly has got better. But like it's we're working. Gary's working off a tight budget, like, and compared to the likes of what we're up against this year, the likes of Cork, Shelbourne, it's going to be difficult for us again this year. But that's what we have. So we just have to get on with it, Yeah. We've got a fair few young players, but we have to bring in a little bit of quality as well this year as well. So
absolutely. So I was going to ask you about honourable player mentions, but I mean, I think we probably covered that, have we?
Yeah.
Pretty much. So I asked, we put it out there on our socials. We mentioned that you'd be coming on. So we asked people, throw us in a few questions if you have a few questions for James, go look at the CV, go look at the career and all. And so a couple of questions came in. So we're going to throw 4 of them at you. Not rehearsed in any way, or I'm going to put you on the spot here, but some of them are fairly obvious. Your favourite goal?
Jeez, that's a good one, eh? Favourite goal.
And you can give me 2 if you want. There's no problem.
Don't know. Yeah, that night in Finn Park, I got a fantastic goal. Actually, Jesus, I've got a few now. Actually, sorry. I could be wrong here. I'll just off my top of my head. Like, yeah, that night in Finn Park, I got a fantastic goal to go 1-0 up with my right foot, about 35 yards out, half volley into the top corner. Great goal, also. Then the night, one of my first games coming back from my cruise ship, I scored down in UCD, rifled one into just on the edge of the box into the top corner. And like that was kind of a night full of just emotion. Like I think I took my jersey off, and I went over the far side, and my wife was there. Like, and I was there. Like, I should have a girlfriend at the time.
Yeah.
Like, and like I'd never take my jersey off. Like, you know what I mean? And I was swinging it around, but it's just full of you're back. This is your first goal.
That wave of emotion. And
that just kind of got over me, and. But there's 2, like, sorry, geez, the night we won the league in Derry, like, sorry, there's another one. I got the first goal in the Brandywell and was rocking, like, again, Willie Burke was marking me, cut in again on my right foot and rifled one into the top corner. Jesus. So there's 3, there you go, man.
And Willie was marking you?
Willie was marking me, funny, I just cut in again, and I thought he'd know my tricks, like,
Isn't the cycle of life crazy when you think about it? This is a lad you played football with in a schoolyard as kids and all.
Yeah, he was marking me that night, the night we won the league, and again, I got the first goal that night we won the league. So the place is absolutely rocking,
So that just added that little bit of cream to the coffee, really.
Yeah, geez, I forgot about this. That's amazing,
Brilliant, So, favourite match?
Favourite match? I think that match against St. Pat's,
Yeah.
It was the first time I was after winning the Premier League. The crowd was just unbelievable. The atmosphere in the place, the atmosphere in the town afterwards, back in the hotel, it was just different level, and it's different level to what's in Dublin, like, the togetherness with the squad, and the whole Derry was just rocking, like, and it just all came together. It was like, it's like you're in heaven, like.
Yeah, and if you know anything about those clubs up north, when they get a bit of success, they love to celebrate.
Yeah, well, it was like all the hard work, the sacrifice from the club, the Paul Diamond, was the Sean Barrett, all the good people in Derry at the time, and the fantastic people, and still are, like, still people don't realise how big the club is, Derry City, like.
Yeah. The next question was a career highlight, but I think we've probably covered that one on multiple occasions so far.
Yeah, that was a few,
so the last question came in was future career goals. What's the future for James Keddy? What are you looking to do? Where
I never really look at. To be honest, Niall, I always kind of that kind of attitude where I am, and people say to me, "Would you like to manage one day?" I don't know. It's a lot of hassle in management, like,
Yeah, so you stay in the moment.
Yeah, I'm happy where I am at the moment. I'm here because that's where I'm meant to be.
Yeah.
And you know, I continuously to work hard with Gary and Dennis and Ian to try and make Bray better. And we'll have a difficult year this year because, again, as I said, the likes of Shells, Cork, like they're gonna have they've big budgets, and it's gonna be difficult. Like, you know, it's gonna be difficult. A lot more difficult this year than it was last year. Like,
and then of course coming so close
again, yeah, and like we've kept most of the team, but we've brought in a little bit more quality again this year. So we're hoping that the extra few players might make the difference. We probably didn't score enough goals last year, especially from midfield. Like you need your wingers to score maybe 7 or 8 goals. Our highest goal scorer last year was 7 goals, which is not enough. Like, you know, so you've got it again. You look at it. Where did we go wrong? Like we created a lot of chances, but we just weren't clinical enough. And if you look at Drogheda, why they got promoted, then one of their players got 14 goals, another got 12. These are midfielders as well. Like, you know, so like goals change games, and again it goes back to your budget as well. Have you got enough money to buy the quality? But that's why when you have probably, you know, a little bit less, then you have to be very careful what you buy.
Well, it's been, for me, it's been a fantastic chat, like, and you know, reconnecting with you again, and
it's brilliant,
going back
Niall,
through the career, and just having to chat about those old days with the lads, and you know where it all started, and to see even back then we could see that, you know, yourself and Willie and Mark and Mick Shields and lads like that, you know, were, you know, you were at that level to push on. Everyone could see that, even in games that we played in, even a break in the yard, or whether it was in PE or after school playing matches and stuff like that. You guys were always those standout guys who were obviously going to push on and drive forward and have that desire to make it, you know. And it's great to see. So it's been great having you on, like, you know what I mean? It's
Thanks,
just,
Noel. Yeah, I really appreciate it. And sometimes it's good to look back, you know.
Ah, yeah, absolutely, yeah. So listen, really appreciate you coming on and taking the time, and sure, we'll put this up and see what everyone thinks. I'm sure there'll be League of Ireland OGs coming on and going, that Keddy lad, he skinned me a number of times and I remember him well, and you know what I mean. So yeah, but absolutely brilliant, and thanks a million for coming on.
Great, Noel. Thanks. Great to hear from you. Yeah.
Talk to you soon, James. Thanks a million, bud.
Bye.
Bye bye.